Hi there, it's Anne of Rosy Duck Designs here. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. For today's project, I'm featuring the penguin punch and the coordinating stamp set called Penguin Place. Now these are both available separately or as a bundle. I didn't check my video is going round. I will now sit down comfortably. In addition to this, I'm featuring some paper that you can have as a reward during Sale-A-Bration, which goes on until the end of September, and this coordinates with these two products. So spend £45 excluding postage and packing, and you get to choose a Sale-A-Bration reward, and this is one that you can choose. So let's just get that out of the way for a moment. I'll just share the paper with you. So lots of cute foxes and penguins and polar bears and snowmen, and we're actually going to be using some of this paper on the card. But what I really love about this paper is, in addition to the cute animals, it's got some really lovely background papers. So this is the one we're going to be using, but there's lots of different colours there, which are absolutely brilliant for, as I say, backgrounds. So if you fancy that, all you need to do is place a qualifying order. All of the Sale-A-Bration rewards are available on a WHILE Supplies Last basis. So if the paper, or indeed any of the other rewards, if you've had your eye on them but haven't yet placed your order, then don't delay, because you never know, it could sell out way before the end of Sale-A-Bration. So down to some crafting. I'm still suffering somewhat since my fall, particularly with my right hand, so I'm keeping it simple stamping. So I'm using as a background card here some Misty Moonlight card. So I fancied a bit of a change with the background card. That's my normal size of 6 by 8 scored at 4 on the long side, so that's 20 by 15 scored at 10 on the long side for your metric. You could, if you wanted to, use a normal white base card. So we'll look at the paper on both of those. This is, as I say, the Penguin Sale-A-Bration paper. Its correct name escapes me, but you can't miss it on the Sale-A-Bration page. This is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 3/4, or 9.5 by 14.5, and that's going to go on the front of our card. And as I say, if you don't have that particular card, it looks just as nice on a white background. As I say, I just wanted to mix it up a bit, but I thought I'd show you the white card as the base card there. So that's going to go on the front. I've got a random piece of card that I've cut, paper that I've cut for some reason, but I bought that in, but that's nothing to do with this project. I've got another piece of basic white, and that is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 3/4, and that is again 14.5 by 9.5 centimetres. And then I've got another piece of white card, which is cut at 2.5 by 4.5, which I did hastily measure that. I think that is 11.5 by 6.3. If it's any different to that, I will put a note on the front of the video. Then I've got a little strip of the designer series paper. Ideally you want it cut around about 1/2 inch by 4.5. This is considerably longer, but I'm just going to trim it when I stick it down here in the middle of the card. So as I say, ideally 1/2 inch by 4.5, or 1.5 by 11.5, and then you can just trim that. So that's that. I'm going to start with I think some stamping. Sounds like a good plan. So I'm going to use the balloon out of this stamp set. And I'm also using To the Coolest Friend Ever stamp from the Penguin Place stamp set. I'm going to be putting that on the front, and I'm going with Misty Moonlight for that. Let's look and see if that is straight. So I'm just going to put that at the top. My balloon here. Before I actually do that, I think it makes more sense to cut our penguins out. Now, whilst the punch coordinates with the stamps in here, I discovered that it also will coordinate with this particular piece of paper. That penguin is the ideal size to work with the punch here. So to make my life easier, I thought I would just punch out a couple of penguins. Just lining that up. So that's one of my penguins. I'm going to use two on this project. Hardly started and I'm already creating a mess. No change there really, is there? And I've got another one. It's all happening. Oh, I've got Marley joining me. That's unusual. Let's hope you don't cause as much havoc as your brother normally does. So I've got my two penguins. Now I want to make them look a little bit posh. So I'm going to give them a bow tie, which again you'll find in here. Some really cute little stamps in here, some little hearts, some little stars. Sometimes it's the really small little stamps that come with the larger stamps that you find you're using more than ever. So I'm going to give him a Misty Moonlight bow tie to go on the front, so that will coordinate here with my sentiment even. Let's pop that in the middle. Clean my stamp off. Now you could of course use the proper stamp from the actual stamp set, but I'm taking the easy way out, I have to say. So let's go with some fresh freesia. With the three colours, I think there's actually four colours, just jade, I believe. This is soft sea foam and this is fresh freesia, and that is Misty Moonlight. So I'm going with some fresh freesia. If at some point I waffle on about fresh fuchsia, please ignore me, I mean fresh freesia. But ever since we've had this colour, I've had fuchsias on the brain and not freesias. But anything I mention that's got fuchsia in the name, I actually mean freesia. So there we go, I've added a little bow tie to my other penguin. So going back to the middle of our card, I'm going to stick my little piece of designer series paper at the bottom here just to pretty that up. Now always not as long as this, but I would suggest you cut this slightly longer than you need, that way you can make sure it fits perfectly and just trim the edges. I was just a little bit too lazy and just thought I would trim it here. If only I could find some scissors. There we go. So turning that over, just snip those two ends off. And that is ready to then stick in the middle of our card. I want to put the penguin, he's going on the front, that one. Seriously, how can I lose a penguin? There he is. So that one's going in the middle, and then I'm going to put some balloons up the side here. So I wanted to just work out where he was going. So let's start with a fresh freesia balloon. Just headbutted the camera, I think. There we go. So I'm going to put that on there. Clean my stamp off. I'm going to go with the Misty Moonlight at the top, and I'm going to put that one in next. So I'm going to have this top one facing the same direction as the bottom one, and I'm going to put that one right at the top. And then I've got my soft sea foam. Cleaning my stamp off again. And by doing it this way, it's easier to see what space you've got left, and it's much easier then to put your third balloon more or less in the middle. Now I'm going to just add some Wink of Stella to give those balloons a bit of shimmer, and I have to say the ink, as I didn't press down hard enough, I'm not sure, the ink hasn't completely taken on that balloon, so by just taking a little bit of that ink onto my Wink of Stella, I can just fill it in with both the colour and the shimmer. Two jobs in one. There we go. I don't want to get any blue on the other colours. So I just want a bit of sparkle. Of course I want sparkle. Just clean that off in between, and then I'm just adding the Wink of Stella to my soft sea foam balloon. Again, I can just take a bit of that ink just to fill in the colour a little bit. So that is the inside of my card. I get very nervous about leaving ink pads open, but I'm going to want them again in a minute. So let's just stick our penguin on. So that's going to go down there. And then we want to put that into the middle of the card. So just centralising that. And that's the inside done. Now we want to stick a piece of designer series paper onto the front. Minus the cat hair. And then we're just going to go back to our stamping of the front panel. Now again, I'm going to put a penguin at the bottom there, but I don't want him there while I'm stamping balloons around him. So I think I'm going to go with a different sequence of the colours, and I'm going to start with the Misty Moonlight blue balloon down at the bottom here. penguin's about there, so I want my balloon about here. Make sure I clean that off. And then we'll go with fresh freesia. Nearly said it there. Fresh freesia. We'll have that going over here at the top. I have that actually coming just upwards, I think. And that leaves my soft sea foam to come somewhere over here. And again, of course, it needs Wink of Stella. I have to say I really like this little stamp set. I love cute penguins anyway, but there's some really good sentiments in there. And I'll share with you another card that I've made using one of the other sentiments. It's a quick way really of putting Wink of Stella on. It doesn't take long, don't get me wrong, but it's that kind of thing in a video and you're like, how long is this woman going to take? But there we go. So I'm going to then just stick my penguin on the bottom here. I'm going to put my lids on my ink pads for this moment. And then I'm going to get some stamping dimensionals. 6 will do it, I think. If you wanted a slightly different look on this front panel, you could round the corners off using the detailed trio punch, or you could even cut out a piece of card using one of the longer dies. But I have just tried to basically keep it as simple as possible. And I'm just going to attach that to the front. And that is our card finished. A similar card that I made using the same ideas was this one, and I've used the lots of thanks sentiment from the same stamp set, and I've just added that onto the die. I'll cut that out using the Floral Gallery dies, which is something a little bit different. So I've used that one to cut the sentiment out, and then I've used that one to just cut this longer piece of midnight, misty moonlight even. Just the inside is basically the same. So there's 2 different variations there of a card using the paper that is available during Sale-A-Bration when you spend £45 excluding postage and packing. As I say, this is a lovely little stamp set and the coordinating punch. I can see a lot of fun cards being made using that. So there we are, that's my project for today. I'll be back very soon, but until then, thank you for joining me. As I've said, everything is available at the moment and can be purchased by my online shop, so I'll put a link to that on the front. Until next time, please look after yourselves. I will see you very soon. Take care. Bye for now.